together by the sea on the beach of Lagon. I loved the beauty of her mind and skin, and her spirit deep within. That's my Ereline, childhood sweetheart and darling. So when I had to leave, I was sorely grieved, as I held her hands that night on the stars and full moonlight. Although I was just a child, I felt like a man inside. I touched her intimately, enthralled by her beauty, knowing I'd soon be missing our touching, cuddling, and kissing. Although we were just children, we knew we were more than just friends, and that loving feeling would never end. Now all I'm left with is the loving memory and scent of her presence, now absent, and the sound of the waves that gently kissed the shore, with that sinking feeling, knowing I'd be seeing her no more. With that sinking feeling, knowing I'd be seeing her no more. My heart was filled with much despair when I was summoned to L'Angleterre to reside with my parents, that was certain. Though powerless, I resisted till the final curtain. My elder said, "Son, don't you want to see the snow?" I, the little boy, spontaneously replied with an impertinent no. "Why?" they exclaimed, looking puzzled and hard. I, the little boy, replied, "I see the snow on Christmas cards." So with Mammy I went one day on a rowing boat to the big ship Genoa. So colossal it caused dismay. Venezuela was the first port of call as we cruised and sailed away. The sea was rough and filled me with fear. The food was not the same, oh dear. The next stop was Genoa, and from there a train to Rome. Then again we embarked on the big ship till we docked in England, our new home. Victoria, the underground, oh, it gave me such a fright. With windows that looked into darkness, as if day had turned to night. Where were the birds of color? The buildings, the clothes, so drab and gray. And when we entered our home in Hackney, there were no maids to my dismay. I recall back home they said, "Go off far and wide, England Street paved with gold. For there your future is sunny and bright, though the winters are dark and cold." I may have been young and inexperienced, and yet I knew the other half had not been told. I repeat, I may have been young and inexperienced, and yet I knew the other half had not been told. in London, England. With no maid in sight, I was given the job, but not to my delight. Peeling potatoes, gutting, scaling and seasoning fish, changing nappies and making bottles, sweeping, hoovering, shopping and laundering. I began to get resentful as I fell far away from heaven. At the tender age of 7, violently abused by my father, enslaved to domestic drudgery by my mother. With hope and prayers I played it cool, but the abuse continued, regardless of how well I did in school. When nigger and wog was flung at me, I simply used to laugh. Until Raymond Ricardo, my school friend, said, "They're taking the piss." That's a fact. From then on, I fought in school nearly every day and had to watch out for knife-wielding racist gangs as I traveled from A to B. Feeling robbed of my childhood and still wetting the bed, nerve tablets were prescribed for me. As I questioned the absence of Mammy's healing herb tea, then there was the hernia operation in consequence of lifting things far too heavy for me. Today, those nerve tablets are now called antidepressants, you see. Light shone through the darkness at the age of 12 as I became lead singer of a band called Tracks. Got the job after singing a poem in a cappella in the English literature class. With singing and dancing, my emotions were unshelved, keeping a balance through what was a living hell. I never looked forward to going home from school. I'd rather be in a boarding house, no matter how strict the rules. Running away is the constant thought of the day, but not knowing where to go, I felt compelled to stay. I refused to call the police. I refused to tell people in school. I refused to tell my relatives, but Mommy was no fool, and my siblings knew the excruciating times that I was going through. As if that wasn't enough, I also had to suffer the sight and sound of my father's regular violent beatings of my mother, our beautiful, intelligent mother, who sometimes overdosed on aspirin, a cry for help undercover. To help her indeed, I was determined to do, but only mere words came out instead, as I encouraged Ma to leave Pa, as I would as soon as I could. As an academic pupil, I thought I'd escape via university, but the old man even thwarted that after killing my school life at Christmas before I took my exams in June. More rejection came as I was ejected from the house that I could never ever call a home. And as I descended further into darkness, paradise was just a memory as hell became my home. Yes, I have to say it again. As I descended further into darkness, paradise was just a memory as hell became my home. my first flat. In my first flat at Camberwell Green, where I lived from age 16, like a man in a boat lost at sea, needing guidance from someone much older than me. But filled with anger, pride and pain, asking for help would be insane. I knew Mammy would be there for me, more than anyone else could ever be. But prompted by my pride, I chose bad instead of good. Without a job, it was inevitable. The rent would be in arrears. Hence my descent into robbery, to wipe away my fears. I said, do it. I'll only do it just the once, simply to pay the bill. Then I'd get right back on track, using my legal skills. But one robbery turned to two, and two turned into three, and as three turned into four, the only thing that could stop me would be the slam of the prison door. My partner in crime was Titus, a bad boy from approved school. Oh yeah, he was bad alright, when he grossed on me like a fool. We ended up at the Old Bailey, in the infamous court number 1. After waiting in custody for 7 painful months, of each day I counted every one. Though found guilty, being of previous good character, I was allowed to go free. As Titus was recalled to Borstal, a young man I'd never see again, as he descended into the belly of the beast, accumulating over 30 years in jail. After the pain of prison, I said I'd never, ever return again, only to find myself reoffending and going to Borstal instead. I thought of Titus, but as I knew him to be a grass, he could no more be a friend. More robberies followed that led to my imprisonment at HMP Maidstone in Kent.
Generally what you can find is around 28, you go through a stage for many people of an emotional maturity. Lots of people go through very dramatic changes in their life around 28. It's a time where you say, I'm not going to live my life for anybody else. I'm going to live it from now on. Can anybody remember those changes, maybe around 27, 28, 29, somewhere around there? But of course, there was the physical maturity around 21, where you sort of got to the height and the body build that you're going to have for the rest of your life. And around 13 is another major turning point, is where you start becoming aware of your sexual differences. Kind of like a sexual maturity begins at that point. It's like all of a sudden, hey, I'm a guy and you're a girl, and there's these differences. And before that, around 7 years old, in psychology, we observe a real important turning point with the child development. It's where a child starts turning away from the parents and socialize and becomes more a social being, relating to itself, relating to others. And of course, in the first 7 years, they say that's when we have our most formative time. That's when we've got all our programs at that time, where we learn about ourselves. And the way I see it is in that first 7 years is where we get a picture of ourselves as far as how much we deserve. Okay, the worthiness. The way your parents treat you at that time and what you see, the way they treat you, teaches you about what you're worthy of. This is why this healing the inner child technique is so important, that we connect with that child, the feelings of that child, the pictures that we have of ourselves and the world at that time, and heal that, create positive pictures. So, in a sense, all these different tanks that I just talked about, they actually develop as we mature. The first tank that we need filled is when we're in the womb and around birth. And that is vitamin G. That's the whole period while we're in the womb. is our major relationship is a relationship with God, our higher power. And what that means is if you look at really what's going on to the baby in the womb, everything's being done for you. Everything is done for you. Your body is being built. Do you have to do anything? No. You just sit there and watch the whole thing and play with your fingers, whatever, and you look around. It's all this fun thing happens. Okay. Now, this is where we're at that time where we're developing a relationship with God. This is when it's most important for the mother to be happy. Because if the mother is not happy during pregnancy, then the mother is afraid. And basically, there's fear of happiness. If she's upset about what could happen here, what's going to happen here, she's afraid. That fear goes into the child, and the child starts to get the message that it's not safe.
Yes, you listen to the recording of John Gray. You know, John Gray's written a book called Manna from Mars and Women from Venus. Okay, we do have a live call coming in, so I'm going to do this call here. Greetings.
Yes, greetings.
Oh,
Evening,
greetings.
Dougie.
This is the great man, Kinsu, yeah?
Kenzu is the name, yes.
Yes, Kinsu. Well,
You
again,
alright?
we really enjoy you contributing on the show here, my brother, because, you know, I can't stop talking about you because, no, seriously, because, you know, something, you're the one who really kind of shape up a little bit, you know? I remember look at things differently. I always look at things differently still, but you remember a bit more focus and, yeah, and the whole thing about mental health but you kind of pushed me and said to me, boy, you have to look at the whole thing about childhood trauma, relationship we have with our parents, them, and what our parents had with their parents, them, you know, and the whole thing forgiveness and letting go, and you know, and look at things like, you know, you're the one who kind of set me up still, you know, so always be in debt to you, my brother, and that's why you know we have this adventure, and what I know you're looking forward to be speaking on. Untruth to truth, truth to untruth, you know.
Yeah.
And you, as a man, you deal with the core. Yeah, the
Try
core.
to.
Yeah, absolutely. So, kids, I want to just get a little background about yourself and how you come to this realization. Yeah, give us a little background.
Okay. Well, yeah, I want people to understand it's holistic health, you know. Holistic health, that's something that I think that needs to be, in all that we've been saying, I think it needs to be really emphasized that we have not gone outside of the realm of holistic health. We're still in holistic health. Yeah.
See,
You understand? Because health, when you look up the word health, it means all of this. It's not only about the food or the disease, it's also your mental health, of course. And it goes back, when you say whole, your childhood, you know, your upbringing, your school, your peers, your caregivers. You know what I'm saying? So everybody, all of these influences are contributing to your health, and this is what a lot of us are not getting, because studies now, there's various studies that have explained this. You know, they study and they pick up children from young and follow them all up to age 40 and all of those, you know, study them all the way along, you know, and start to realize that some of the conditions that they've been involved in as a youth. So just to give an example of that would be like, one of the things that I myself suffered from, I didn't really know I had I knew that when I was in my 20s, when I used to run for a little while, or when I used to exercise, I used to feel a pain in my chest.
right.
And but when I come into the raw food, within like 6 weeks, that was gone. You know, so I realized the raw food opened up my vessels, you know, and let my heart just circulate and breathe properly,
Right.
you know. But when I reached to these studies now, the studies of childhood conditioning or trauma and parenting and all of this, the psychology, I realized that one of the main conditions for childhood trauma is heart disease. You see? So what I'm saying is that some of the things that we go through as children, they affect us later on. So, you know, so just to answer your question there, basically for me, it's you know, I want to say, well, as we're moving through life, different things we go through different collisions, like relationship breakdowns, you know, prison, drugs, fighting, crime, whatever. You understand? Some
Mm-hmm.
hardships,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and but these sometimes, these are trying to. Well, I could say all the time. These are trying to wake us up to something. They're trying to tell us something. They're trying to get us to look in because all of the solutions is inside of us.
Right,
You know what
right,
I mean?
right.
So look in. So I went through various things when I was about 21, 20, something like that, my first serious relationship. I had some challenges there which I did not understand. Some emotions come up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come to the surface,
Mm-hmm.
which I did not understand. And I'll say this clear on air because you know me, I'm not, I'm dealing with truth, I don't business. And when you hear the words, I don't want you no more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
When you hear the words, I don't want you no more. I'm not in this. We're finished.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? For me, at that age, it brought up some things that, whoa, I just did it. Because the rejection was like, it knocked me for six.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to behave like I was in the school playground,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and like bullying and all them kind of thing there. And then basically, but I couldn't understand it. I just don't know. The emotion just came upon me, and I didn't
See.
know where or what it means.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at that time, I was moving. The partner I was with. We decided that we're gonna try and get little assistance and try work this out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but because I was young and on road and all the kind of madness,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't stick to the program.
Right, right, right.
Why am I saying this? Why am I giving this example? I'm giving this example to show you that that event was trying to get me to look inwards.
Right.
How do I know that? Because 20 odd years later,
Mm-hmm.
there's a completion of because you asked me how it starts, a completion of a relationship, marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and that caused me to look in. And when I look in and I found, well, it was before the completion, but within all of it, anyway, I was looking in and started to realize that these, these issues, not only what we're doing, who we choose as a partner too,
Mm-hmm.
who we choose as partner is coming from our childhood.
Okay then.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Okay then. Okay then.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're asking me how did I get into this, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're saying
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
So I'm saying this is the road. So now, not only your own emotional constipation, because that's what it is, emotional constipation. Yeah, when you're not responding to things,
Mm.
adequately, your emotions are just jammed up. So not only that, but also the choices you make. I've said this before. The
Mm.
choices you make are also based on your mindset, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and your mindset is coming from what was conditioned coming up. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and this is all the things that you went through. Um, so getting to that point, I start to look inwards, and I start to realize. So what I've uncovered now is the point I'm making. What I've uncovered now is some of those things that was happened to me that 20 odd years ago when that relationship was trying to point me in a direction from then. You see what I'm saying?
So what was it trying to do? Try. I mean, you did try to you look within yourself. Sort of events. What happened within yourself? Events.
Well, when
Mm.
you say events, I mean, you try to get to understand yourself. All right, basically, yeah, because when we say emotional constipation, we're talking about the imprisonment. When you're in prison, lock your own self in.
Mm.
Yeah, I've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
When we lock ourselves because of the environment, when we're young,
Mm-hmm.
when we're young, the environment becomes too unsafe.
Mm.
Becomes unsafe because mommy I beat me regular, daddy I beat me, and them cost me, and then telling me to go in a corner and this and criticism. It gets unsafe. You might not know it consciously,
Mm-hmm.
but as a child you shrink away from that environment, and they
Mm.
call it shyness and all these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, so now what that shrinking does, you're locking your real being inside. You're locking him away. That's the emotional constipation. You're
Mm.
locking that being away. So as you're going through life, the shyness and the withdrawing inside, which is really the emotional constipation, it doesn't allow you to respond to in relationships and things properly. You get caught up in drugs. You're looking medication. You're chasing money. You're chasing relationships and bling bling and jobs and you name it, every single thing. You'd be surprised. Most of the things we're chasing is a form of medicine. We're trying to medicate. And I know this is a powerful message. It's heavy because how you know that for sure and how I can be 150% of this, what I'm saying here now, right? Because not only have I studied it, I've been through it myself. So inside of each and every one of us, we have a life force, which we know, and that life force can turn a banana into Dougie within 4 hours.
Yeah.
Right? It can turn, you eat your food, it converts to a human being within 4 to 5 hours. So that intelligence inside of you is enough to keep you happy and joyful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Without any relationship, without any food, without any drugs, without any money, without any music, without anything. Because that's what you was as a child, right?
Yeah.
That happiness is in you because that's, you can call it the creator or whatever, but that higher intelligence, what turns the food into you within a few hours, that intelligence can keep you joyful, the most joyful being on the planet. If you, but we close it down through the environment. It gets closed down. So now, as you grow up, you got to look for a replacement. You got to look for that happiness outside of you. You see, in someone else. So you look for it in a woman or a man. You look for it in a fruit. Yeah, all those things we mentioned: clothes, party, music. But you really have that happiness is in you. You see, but because we closed it down through the unsafe condition, the unsafe environment. It's like this. It's like me and you walking in a jungle and we see a bear, right? We see a bear. And then first thing going to say, we got the system's going to kick in, fight or flight, right? So that's our adrenaline. That's our immune system now. Fight or flight. Are we going to run? Are we going to fight? Now, I think both of us I think we're going to decide to run. So if we're smart. So, but now, your heart starts to beat fast. Your eyes open wide. Your blood vessels open up for blood to rush to your legs. Yeah. Your urination cuts off, whether you are urine or not. You're cut off. Yeah. All digestion shut down. Yeah. All these things shut down, and it puts the systems that you need to escape. They come up to full-fledged now.
Seen.
Now, watch this. This is the point I'm trying to make now. That's because of you buck up on an unsafe environment. Right? That's the beer. Now, watch. So what happens if the beer is coming home every night in your house? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Seen.
Because the unsafe environment is in your house now every night. That same response, your body's going to do that. Your body's going to be ready to fight or flight every single day. That's the environment that some of the children that I grew up in, you know, that many of us grew up in. So this is what you close off. You close off the God within you. You close it, tuck him away because you don't want him to get damaged. But when you close to protect him, you close him off from life. So you have to seek this happiness and these you're medicating. All of these stuff we just see. So the world, that's where the world is right now. And people wonder why. And the antidepressants are rife, you know, the suicides are rife, the murders are rife, the mental health diseases are rife. This is where the world is because the real joy within us is closed, locked off. It's locked off. If you're pleasant, if you're joy, right? If you're in a joyful state, you don't need nothing else.
Right.
You're good. If everybody's joyful, we're good. Yeah, we don't need nothing else. Anyway, I don't want to go to the, there's so many other things, but that's where it is. We're locking off the joy. So there's a journey now to get back now, because this is, let's touch on the solution, because there's a journey to get back. And the first thing is awareness, like we always say.
Yeah.
But then all right, so because we closed ourselves off, then we shut down our feelings. And that's what I hear you always saying, that men don't talk. Men don't talk because we don't want to get to our feelings.
Seen.
We're frightened of the feelings.
Seen.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if we don't want to, because that feeling is so uncomfortable because we shut it down. So how do you get that back now? Well, there's a formula I can show people how. It has to be done in a certain, how to start to feel yourself again. You understand? It's how to, and what you do, it makes you more sensitive to yourself. Hence, you become more sensitive to life. Yeah, it's a process that you can start to get in, and there's various processes. One, inner child work is all about that as well. So really, it's about awareness, getting aware, and knowing that you need to reawaken some senses within you, some feelings.
Right.
So without feelings, we're done.
Okay. So would it part of the inner child work or part of the solution? You will look at things like meditation.
Meditation, to be honest, is a part of it, yeah. But you see, meditation it's a bit, it's kind of involved. But you see, inner child work is like, first there's a frozen child. When you say inner child work, you're talking about a frozen part of your personality. The same thing when I say you locked him down, when we locked it in, right?
Then, yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that is frozen. That's another word you could use, locked in or frozen or stagnated. Yeah. You can use these various words. So what we're talking about is, like you say, when when they say you tar out, yeah, or you defrost.
The defrost, yeah.
Right. You have to go and learn to defrost, and it's like, trust me, if I gave a little example, if I was to basically take you back right now to your childhood, you would feel it in a serious way. You would reconnect to you as a child in a serious way. Do you understand? I'm not saying, people say, oh, in your past. We're not saying to stay and live in your past. We're not talking about that.
No.
We're talking about to go and fix things that are affecting you now. You understand? Because most of our reactions, and this is the key to it, because when we walk down the road, or you go in a dance, or you're going anywhere, any situation, and a man just speak to you or just look at you wrong, and you flare up, right? And you flare up in anger, right? Temper, like you see now people doing. That temper, that anger has very little to do with what's going on now.
Okay then.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's true.
That anger, in many times, is pent up, held in from childhood.
So it's a trigger, really, from childhood.
Just a trigger. But the childhood is the pain, because when you was a child, we couldn't live out our anger. Remember, you get angry because you get me. You're angry because of the situation, because we said fight or flight. So you're angry, but was you allowed to show your anger?
No.
You couldn't show that.
No.
So what happened to it as an emotion? It frees up in your body. Yes. Yeah. It's stuck in the body. I could show I could just do a simple demonstration where I could get someone to just bring me a photograph. Not real photograph. I could just set up a scene right now and get you to pretend. Yeah, I could just visualize that somebody's bringing you a photo. Trust me. I can't do it on the phone.
Yeah.
But it's like a simple scenario we can draw up, and you can realize that there's pent up anger right there. Yeah. So what we're saying, we're not saying to live in the anger. We're saying, well, if there's ways you can go back and just knock it out, have your anger. You understand? Because the anger is a healthy emotion. It's a healthy emotion, but when it's pent up, then it's like anything. When it's not allowed a proper channel, then it comes out distorted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Comes out distorted, so you have to let it come out properly and natural. It's like anything. It's like sex urges. It's like, anything. Hunger. All these things here, if you don't let them have their natural, outlet, then they will get distorted and come out. And that's what you're seeing today. Anger is being distorted because it's pent up.
Okay. Then. So coming back to relationship, right? Because I know you've done a lot of work in that particular area as well, and especially those who going through challenging relationship. And as you said, love is not to do with the what's happening now. It's a lot to do what's happening in the past. Like I said, it's like frozen
Energy. Yeah.
energy. That's right, frozen energy,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're with this particular person. It's nothing to do with them. It's just something was in the past, and you're just trying to let it go, but you let it know that because you don't understand what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're letting off some very negative energy, and obviously the person who you're with, they don't understand what's going on as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, would you yourself would do? How would you work at those? Would you work at the individual couples, or how would that work? How would you deal with
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
You can, yeah, I mean, yes, you can. You can do both. You can do both. Some therapists they do, they do it individually, then they do it as a couple as well. So it depends. You set up sessions, a group of a course of sessions, where you would do the couple together as well as individually.
Mm.
Yeah, and then you'd have to work it, work it through there. And it's really just about who's ready to open up and.
Yeah, because sorry,
Yeah.
because really that is something where they have to just open up because it's nothing to do with what's happening now. It's just like what's happened in the past. Like I said,
Yeah.
frozen energy. That's what it comes down
Yeah.
to, and it's just
Yeah.
frozen. Just need to open it up and just let off in the
Yeah.
right channel, in the right space, and all that stuff there. And
But when you break something open that hasn't been open for a while, what happens? What happens is it's what you could call painful, isn't it?
that's right.
Yeah,
That's
you
right.
know what I'm saying, and that's so you have to take it easy with that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
But if the person is ready for therapy, then that's usually that you're halfway there.
But the key
You know what I
thing,
mean?
they've got to be ready because if they're not ready, it doesn't make no sense. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, certain therapy, it depends. If a couple come to you and one is ready and one is not ready, sometimes the other one can be made ready.
okay then.
It can be made ready. Yeah, sometimes.
Mm,
Because that's how the dynamics of the
mm,
relationship is
mm.
sometimes.
Okay
Yeah,
then. But coming back to your subject matter again, what are the kind of
yeah,
key points you'll be touching on next week Sunday?
yeah. Well, yeah. So in untruth to truth. So that's the whole crux of what we're talking about here. And just to sum it up like this, the objective is this. This is the objective.
Yes, yeah.
Is really to show the healing power of truth
Mm,
and the sickness power of untruth. You see, because untruth can make you sick, proper sick. I'm talking some of these autoimmune diseases, even cancer and those things there. Again, remember, we're talking about frozen energy, right?
mm.
Frozen energy, it freezes in the cell, and it stagnates the cell, interferes with the oxygen, and then you're on the road to cancer. You see what I'm saying? So we're talking about, because that's why I say holistic health.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm going to
understand
have to
what
keep
you're saying.
making that clear.
Yeah.
Because what we're talking about here is not separate from none of this other health that we speak.
Yeah.
It's not separate.
Yeah.
We just gone back to a root now.
Mm.
So when you look at the one cell, inside of the cell, you have the body, you have mind, you have emotion, you have spirit inside of every single cell. So therefore, if one part of the cell, such as the emotions, is stagnated, like we just explained from childhood, then you know that the rest of the cell is going to be affected.
Okay then.
So that's untruth. Untruth, lock it down. Now, there's a book I came across this week. There's a lady, Deborah King. Yeah, this is just one recent example I've come across. And she's written a book called Truth Heals. That's it. Truth Heals. And what she's explaining is where she was sexually abused, right, by her father.
Mm-hmm.
And she held that in a secret. That secret, because the dirty little secret was, kept. She was forced to hold it in. And by the time she reached 25, she had cancer. She got cancer. Various other things happened.
Right.
Yeah, many other things happened. The drugs and all the alcohol and all that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But 25, she had cancer. And then what happened was she went down a road of starting to, eventually she got to the point where she faced the truth. And by facing that truth and working through that truth, and having an anger like we're saying here now, you understand? And just unlocking that and defrosting, She's a cancer survivor. Now she's teaching on this stuff. She's written her book and everything.
Yeah.
So that's the part we talk. So truth is a healer in itself. So we're going to get into some of that.
But it's funny enough, as you're speaking about the same woman there, there's a lady she's well known. Her name is Brendon Bay. Brendon Bay. And she used to be like one of Anthony Robbins' trainers, and all that stuff there. And what happened with her that she had, I think she had tumor or something like that, right? And and this is a woman who very healthy, she's very athletic and she eats all this stuff, all the greens and everything, and she was fine, but it just wasn't shifted, right? But it's only when she started to deal with things what happened in the past and able to let go, right? Right? Things started to shift, And it's just amazing. You see what I'm saying? Because it kind of ties in what you're saying, that we hold on to this stuff, what's happening in the past, and anger and secret and shame, and we all onto this stuff, and that itself can cause cancer and all that kind of stuff there. Yeah,
man, stifling in the body, blocking up the body,
blocking up the body and stuff.
But we looked at the food and all that, and you see most of these conditions they don't start with the food. They don't start with food. Trust me, they don't. They start back before that. Let me tell you, obesity. Yeah. Obesity is not a food issue. Food is the medicine the person is taking to medicate the emotional problems.
So it's really emotional. It's emotional thing.
Of course, it's mental. It's mental problem.
Yeah.
Obesity is not a food problem. Yeah.
Yeah, like we said that, man. Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, you understand.
So this is why you see where I am, because this is, as a person who want to deal with the root, why I can't stay up there in the food, and the food is not the root.
It's emotional. Yeah, it's emotional.
It's emotional. Most people, a lot of people are familiar with that the fact that you're eating, excessively, and sugars and all of the wrong stuff excessively, this is drugs. These are drugs.
Yeah. So it's nothing to do with the food. It's just emotional. Because what you're saying really is that I want people to understand what Kinsley was saying, right? And Kinsley, please correct me if I'm misrepresenting information you're always saying, but what Kinsley was saying is that it's nothing to do with the food, It's the emotional why you're addicted to certain food to bring that condition. So it's nothing to do with the food. Right?
That's right.
Yeah. It's emotional. Right. It's like if you look at those, I take someone like Jules Best, and Elvis Presley and those people there, right? Right. Even though Jules Best was an alcoholic and everything, right? Right. But it's the emotional addiction what drove him to that. The pain he was, it's like a mask, because all his life, he was a great footballer. Tim was a great footballer, a great. But when the football finished, right, the biggest buzz.
Before that.
Yeah, that's right. Before that, right. But the biggest buzz he had, right, was drinking, because he was loved by so many people and everything. So the biggest buzz he had, because so there you understand, right? It's that emotional, right? That lacks of love and so forth and whatever. Yeah.
I don't believe I've looked at his childhood properly, but I'm sure I did take a glimpse. But if you look at it, you will see it. If you go and look at his childhood, you're going to see it there. I'm guaranteed you. Yeah. You'll just see it. If you know what you're looking for anyway, you will see the disharmony in his childhood. And he was drinking that. He was medicating that with the drink. And womanizing, but that all follows on. But the drink was the main. The drink was the main catalyst.
Drink, and obviously the women, them addicted to women, all that kind of stuff there. So and that stuff. Now you find a lot of them just like that as well, or we just so and thing.
Let me tell you, the world, is in a serious situation. I'm not really the doomsday thing. At the end of the day, there's a solution. But the fact that the antidepressants and the suicide and the alcoholism and the drug addiction is high, you know, we got to, the only solution is to look inward. The only way out is in. Yeah, the only way out is in.
Only way out is in, yeah.
Yeah, the only way out of this, the only way out of the prison of the muck and the mire is inwards. You know, that's one of the first things I learned on this journey here, inwards. But we're going in the wrong way, so we've got to make 180 degrees turn. You see, we keep going out. We're doing so much. When that house gone, we buy another house. When that woman gone, we get another woman. When that when that car, when that, you know, and we keep going out, until we get bang into a wall. You understand? And that's when, you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing I'm saying to you. That's when we turn in. Because the collision is your own self. Your own self is driving you into the wall. Because yourself is trying to tell you something, trying to get you to go somewhere. You see? But you're not hearing, so it's just licking to the wall. Boom. And now you're going to look inwards. You're forced to look in. That's all the thing is. It's that simple when you really put it theoretically, you know, in words. It's that simple. Look inwards. And if you're not looking inwards, you're going to eventually hit something that's going to turn you inwards. Right. Everybody, just look out there, you see it. Right. All the celebrities, all of the people, all of them, everybody. It's all out there. You know, what we're saying is very simple, but people, because we don't believe that's true, so we just keep running, we just keep going. We say, it's not going to happen to me. You know, it's not going to happen to me, and we just keep going. But it's going to happen because it's unnatural what you're doing. So nature, you know, nature is going to win every time. Nature is going to win every time. Yeah, you know.
Yeah. So, what message we give for those who are out there listening right now, going through some challenging times? Because as you know, Kinsu, we've been talking a lot around mental health and well-being, and you know, we keep you know, beating the drum, so to speak. You know, as you know, that a lot of men and women as well, right, are going through depression and all kind of stuff, and they probably want some hope, some light, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you share? Bear in mind, we have Tamara is just arrived as well, so he probably wants to come in as well.
Greetings, yes. Yeah. Greetings, Tamara. So what? Yeah, it's a good point, because you see the need to sit down with someone, seek some help where you can sit down and work through a program, because with something like that, everybody's different. But you see, if someone's in depression, you see, first of all, what I would, it depends. It varies. So this can't fit everybody. But we've got to look at how they view the problem. It's how you view the issue. You see, and if we keep pointing out and we have people to blame, if we're blaming people, you see, if we keep blaming someone for our condition, it's not going to go away. It's not going to, because you don't have no power over it. You've given all the power to someone else. You see? So first thing, and it's not easy, so I say it's stages, you know, depending on where a person is, we can take time and walk towards that objective. Walk towards the fact of now taking control of it. But, so we're changing the way we look at the whole problem.
Okay. And you know, son, that's quite liberating what you just said there, you know, because what you find that we tend to blame. And all right, then there's certain kind of blame, you know, but you need to start to look at yourself as well, you know, because when you're blaming, you're not really taking responsibility for yourself, you know. You need to take responsibility, because I mean, yeah, if you want to deal with, that's why I understand we talk about the untruth to truth, or the truth to untruth, because you got to look at yourself, see, and as you're speaking, right, and I'm listening to I'm listening to what you're saying, and in my mind that it's, cause I know there's a couple people who go through some stuff, right, but they just don't want to take responsibility.
Well, that's the thing.
They just don't want to take responsibility. Everything is just blame, and you know, when you're with them, you say, well, you know, what about you? I mean, you know.
What role did you play?
Yeah, just don't want to take responsibility for their action, and blaming this and that.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's a process, you know. So sometimes you got. It's basically, it's not about telling an individual You see, in therapy, we don't tell the person directly. You know, not everybody's ready to be told. That you've got to help them find it within themselves.
Okay then.
So it's from a certain series of questions and discussion, they find it within themselves. But they need that reflection. They need somebody to walk with them and to reflect them back, you know, their thoughts, if you like, back at themselves, you know. So that is there's nothing like when you yourself get to the point and you ask the question yourself. It's different to when somebody's telling you or what, you know, giving you the answer or telling you the question to ask. It's when you get to the point and you ask the question, like, why? Yeah, why am I looking at them? Why am I blaming them? Who, you know, was it really? When you start to ask those questions, you know, that's when things start to turn around. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like I said, we do have Tamara inside the host, and Tamara, just feel free to ask Kinsu any question. Cause right about now we're talking about mental health, depression, and talking about truth, and you know most of these subjects we ran that and taking responsibility. You know, because as we know that a lot of us don't take responsibility. We all seem to blame and blame, and it's quite interesting. If you know you have a conversation with most people you have a conversation with, right? They always seem to want to blame other person and never look at themselves. You know, and that's Kinsley said. You know, it's a question of you know, you need to get them to look at themselves and ask them questions about
Yeah, that's the only way.
themselves, and that's the way forward. Tamara, feel free to ask a question. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, blessed love, Kenzo.
Blessed love. Tamara.
Blessed love to everyone, all the beautiful people listening. I'm Tamara Gabriel, and yes, Kinsey, what you said earlier on about the answer is within, and it is an inner journey, just like you said, because I myself, I spent many decades seeking all the solutions in the outside, whether it was money or women or you know, and all other sorts of material things. And as you said, it was life itself that compelled me to go within after chastising me time and time again, letting me know that this is not the solution. Seeking things from the outside, or even blaming people on the outside for all my misfortunes, without asking myself why. But there is one thing which I'd like to ask you, which is when you said that some people aren't ready to be told the truth, and so you have to deal with them very gently in a way that sort of triggers their mind into going within. And I myself personally, I think, well, don't you think that it's best to just tell them the truth anyway? And even if it hurts, it's better to be told the truth, even if it hurts you. But at some point, that person will say, hey, you know, that man was right, you know. That man was right. Because I found that sometimes maybe avoiding telling someone the truth, actually, but trying to do it in a more psychological way so that they go within themselves. Sometimes, well, I found that sometimes it didn't actually seem to bear any fruit, or, you know, but telling them the truth certainly does, rather than avoiding telling them the truth sometimes. I mean,
Well,
what is your take on that?
all right. Well, you see, like I said at the beginning, it varies. Every case, you got to take it by its merit, by its own merit. And, you know, yeah, not everybody is ready for that. Seriously, some people you can make the problem worse. Some people will also they will reject you and rebel against the therapy, and that's what you don't want. And you see, so everybody's different, and you will, as you're going through. That's why it's important to forge a relationship with the person. You know, forge a relationship, because and that's what true therapy is about. It's just forging a relationship, and you know, walking side by side, but allowing the person their autonomy. When what you're doing here is walking with them in order to for the question to pop up in their head. So you are going to be say it depends on the therapist, but you are going to be saying things to trigger, or when I say trigger, I shouldn't say that. You're going to be saying things to reflect their own thoughts, because what it is, sometimes we're saying things and we do not understand the implication of what we're saying. And that's the problem. So, like, for example, the blame thing. The moment we're blaming is that person, they did that to me. When many of us do that, that's a big one. And all it takes sometimes is for you to question that blame. Just question it, like to say, was it really that person's fault? What role did they play? Were you really there? And just to question the scenario until the person themselves questions their place in that whole scenario. You understand?
Oh, sorry, continue, sorry.
Did you get what I'm saying, though?
I get what you're saying, which just leads me to a point, which is, well, then in that case, should we just forget about all the traumatic history we've had and simply get on with it and move forward, rather than keep blaming the slave master or the ex-slave master, whatever way you want to look at it, at their, at our constant trials and tribulations that we even face today.
What do you think? What do you think the answer to that is?
Well, I certainly feel that the answer to that is to get on with it. Let's unite and get on with it. I don't care about reparation, to be honest with you. I rather be liberated from my, from the state of mental slavery and the state of blaming, and get into the state of love and uniting with my brothers and sisters. And let's start build our schools and hospitals and our institutions, our banks, our economy, and so on, rather than blaming and blame. We could be here fighting for reparation for another 100 years.
Another 500 years.
We could have made great progress had we simply looked within and said, look, listen, let's not rely on these people to say, well, reparation and that will set us free. Let's get on with it. I mean, that's how I look at it personally.
Well, I would have to agree. Now, and even from another perspective is to say, well, I agree what you're saying, and it's like not only are we right for the reasons you said there, it's also a mentality, a universal, spiritual, if you like. The position that we're taking in blaming is a spiritual distortion. A spiritual distortion. And I know that's heavy. People might have things to say about that, but we can explain that. You see, blaming, that victim mentality, is an irresponsible mentality. Irresponsibility has no place in spirituality. You see what I'm saying? And a true spiritual being takes full responsibility for their trials and tribulations and their future and their present and their now. Yes? So anything other than that is a spiritual distortion. So it's not only that, for the reasons that Brother Tamara explained, they're all right. But also, it's just that position, that victim mentality of a position that we're sitting in, is distorted, and it will never blossom and flourish and put us back into the right. It will never. The only way to get back into the truth is to take responsibility. It's really that simple. There's no power without responsibility. There's no responsibility without power.
So when you talk about responsibility, as an individual or as a collective, or has...
Well, it's got to start as an individual.
Yeah, okay.
And then everything start as an individual, and then we can come together. Because, like I was saying the other night on the radio, we can't come together. The problem with coming together is because of our individual pain.
Okay, then. Okay.
Remember we said that?
Yeah, you did say that.
The pain that we're having individually. Remember I spoke about
Claude Anderson.
Claude Anderson, right?
Yeah, Claude Anderson.
His great suggestion that he's got great ideas. I'm just saying that I think one of the blockages to his ideas is the pain we're having inside us. It's blocking, programs and motives of what emotions. I said what he's suggesting, because we haven't dealt with our individual pain, so we can't come together to progress economically. You see, so yes, the individual responsibility individually, and that will make us, open up to each other much clearer. The reason, it's very simple again, Dougie. I'm just saying, most of these things are simple. It's because we're clouded. Why we're not seeing them, because once you deal with your individual, you open up, you're refreshed, you're light. You understand? You're light. So now you can embrace your brother and your sister easily. You know, you're not carrying no burden, no hate for this white man, this man, that man. There's no weight on you. You know, there's no despise, there's no despair. You're light. And, you know, our journey goes further than just race and physical, you know, opposition. It's further than that. We've got so much, if you want to call, unseen powers and forces that are waiting for us waiting to be used. But we locked it all down. We've locked it all down because we're not open. We're not open to life. We're not open to life. You see? Simple as that. Once you're open to life, you've got these powers waiting to move through you. Waiting to move through you. But we're locked. We close it down. We're congested. We're constipated. You know, constipation means liquor by liquor. You know, when you go to the toilet and you're constipated, it's ploops, ploops, ploops. Yeah? Liquor by liquor. Right? So it's the same thing we're doing. Emotional constipation means little by little life is coming from us. It's becoming through us, liquor by liquor. We're not opening up to let it flow. That's all it comes down to. Let the life flow. We're shut down to life. You know, and if I could scream one thing, it would be that, you know. It would be that one message there is that we need to be open to life.
To life, yeah.
And I myself have work to do in that department. You understand? I myself have work to do in that department. Yes? So I'm not trying to sit here to say I'm all complete and done because I'm coming through the same, you know, tribulations as everybody else. Yeah.
Okay. Tamara, you want to say anything?
Yes, Brother Kinsu. You just reminded me of the fact that after battling with drug and alcohol addiction for some decades, as well as being involved in criminality and dishonesty and violence for the same length of time or even longer than that, I eventually, it wasn't until I went into rehab, I went into the recovery process, the rehabilitation process, I discovered that I had a spiritual malady. I never thought that I was spiritually sick. It never occurred to me. It never occurred to me either that I was insane, you know, and suddenly when I discovered, yes, I am spiritually sick, because I don't think a lot of people out there really tune into spiritual sickness or understand or even beginning to consider that they're spiritually sick, that all this mental illness and all this violence and all the dishonesty and all the immorality comes from a spiritual malady, not just a mental and physical condition and other political oppression and so on, but it's actually caused by a spiritual malady, a separation, like you said, from life. I mean, I would say a separation from God Almighty, Mother, Father, God, Holy Spirit, God, our Creator, Yahshua Mishak. You know, I mean, a separation from that, from our higher being, which lives within us. You know, which gave us the breath of life and created us. And when we are separated from that and seeking self-will, which we have self-will to do as we please, but know that there are consequences to self-will. However, we've always chosen, as you said earlier on, to seek to go out there. In my case, I went out there when things didn't work and it got so bad and the pain got so terrible and dreadful. Drug and alcohol addiction seemed the only way, you know, to solve the problem, which in fact actually made the problem immeasurably worse. And it's only by the grace of God I live here today to tell the tale. So, you know, I really need to thank you very much for raising up the spiritual malady, that aspect of our being, which people do not consider at all.
That's right.
Absolutely, brother. I thank you
very
much.
And that's my book. That's my book. What I've written years ago is a spiritosis, a spiritual disorder. You see, so it's something, you know, it's there, but people, we shy away from that subject. But yeah, it's the foundation. That's the foundation, you know. You know, and what we need to make clear is that the spirit, as we said a while ago, the spirit, the mind, the emotion, and the body, there's no gap. There's no, they call it demarcation. There's no separation from any of them. And we need to get that clear, because sometimes we talk about spirit like it's separate from body, or it's separate from mind, or it's separate from emotion. No, one body. When you take one cell, in each cell you find spirit, you find body, you find mind, you find emotion in every single cell. So if the spirit is sick, the body is sick. If the body is sick, the spirit is sick. If the emotion is sick, the spirit is sick. So we can't separate the thing. I mean, when I say spiritual disorder, it's really for people to understand that there's an issue at the root. There's an issue at the very essence of our being. And it affects the whole body. It affects the whole body. So spiritual, some of these things we need to simplify a little bit, because I think, a lot of our people we get disorientated when we start talking about spirit and that. So I like to simplify it and just take it back to nature, our alignment with nature.
See.
If you look at a tree or an animal or a plant, if you just look and study the way they move, you realize that you can't give these animals something that they're not supposed to eat. Give them something to eat they're not supposed to eat. You can't pour hot oil on the side of a plant and expect it to be a fruit. You understand? You see what I mean? Yeah. So, but it's like, how can a human being? We're supposed to be the most cleverest, have dominion, and all of that over the planet Earth, but yet still we don't know what to eat. We have to read books to find out what to eat. Come on. It's one of the most naturalist things. You do. As a child, you knew where to put the breast. No one ever teach you where. If you're in the jungle right now, one thing as a child growing up. You walk in the jungle, even from young, to pick up the food and where to put it. You're not going to put it in your ears. You're not going to put it in your eyes. You're going to put it in your mouth.
Yeah.
No one has to teach you that.
Yeah.
So how comes now someone has to teach us what to put in our mouth? You see what I'm saying? That shows you that there's a great misalignment with nature. That's what I call a spiritual disorder.
That's a good point. That's a good point you made there. It's a very powerful point. Very powerful point, in fact. Very powerful point. Okay then. Well, kids, I want to give out your website and the information and
Yeah.
Facebook
Okay. Well, yes. Well, first of all, let's say we hope to see everybody coming out on the 6th of October. We hope to see everybody, all the listeners, coming down there in Ilford and, being blessed with some essential information from all of the speakers, because on the lineup is the lineup is ram-packed with information. So let's hope we see everybody on the 6th of October. And going forward, we have so much things lined up. Every day I'm getting closer to launching my platform. I just don't want to launch it incomplete. I want to make sure there's everything there for everybody. So naturally.net is the website. There's another website coming out, but it's all ready. Well, I'm not mentioning that right now. Naturallyholistic.net. And the telephone number is 07983 678 Yeah, so we've got lots to do. We've got lots to do, Dougie, and we know that we've already discussed that. So we've got lots to do for the community. And all I'm doing, I just like to say, I'm just responding to a need. I'm not creating no needs. I'm not creating no, you understand, no disease or illness that's not already there. I'm responding to a need. And for me, what I realize is that your life is your mission. Your life experiences is your mission in many cases. Yes. I think you say your mess is your message. I think you say. Yeah. You see? So that's right. Yeah. And that's all I'm doing. I realize what's gone on for me over the last 10, 15 years. It's just been molding. Everything's been molded to a point, and we're just gonna start doing what we can. Yeah.
All right then.
So, brother Dougie, give thanks.
Yeah, man, give thanks, man. Every time, fam. Every
Give
time.
thanks, brother.
Yeah, man.
Yes, respect, my brother.
Every aspect.
So, you'll be down there on the 6th as well, brother Tamara.
Yes, by the grace of the Most High, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, look forward to seeing you down there.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir,
man.
truly.
Give thanks again, yeah?
All right, take care. Respect.
Yeah, man. Respect.
Every
All right,
time.
blessings.
Okay, the great man.
And
King
I listened, I
Sue.
said, and that was really stupid of me. I should have given you a call.
Yeah, man, the great man,
She goes,
King
you
Sue.
should have really given me a call. You haven't given me a call in a long time, And I said, well, what else happened today? And then she goes, you mean before you were late? because she knows what I'm doing, which is trying to get her to talk about other things which are bothering her. Because if she can talk about other things which are bothering her, then all of a sudden I don't feel like it's all being put on me. Otherwise, when she's really upset, I assume that all of her upset has to do with me. It's rare that all of a woman's upset has to do with one thing. It always has to do with a lot of different things. But we men misinterpret it because when we're upset, we tend to get upset about one thing. We focus on one thing. So when she's upset and she's focused on me, I assume I'm the biggest problem in her life today. And that's not the case. I might just be one of the problems. And she can just talk and talk and talk about other things. It allows me to understand there's a lot of other things going on here other than me creating unhappiness in her life. Okay, so that's just...
Black Brits Find Your Voice, the Health, Wealth and Heritage Tour, Sunday, 6th of October, 2019. Featuring speakers on fibroids, prostate, diabetes, wills and probate, investment, business, history and legacy, education, Afrocentrism. At Redbridge Central Library, Clements Road, Ilford, IG1 1EA. There'll also be fashion, beauty, food, drink, jewelry, skincare, art and design, literature, and more. Admission, £1. Seminar speakers include Pauline Clark, Honey and Legal, the reason for writing a will and ensuring it's executed properly. It's executed properly. There's Kensu, I Am Hotep, on mental well-being and moving from untruth to truth. There's Annette Watson, psychotherapist, understanding the black man. Lyndon Wishart, author, The Inspired Diabetic, self-cured in 105 days of type 2 diabetes. Jenny Russell, how to fight fibroids and how to live a fabulous life after 50. Vasco Stevenson, how to improve our lives through healthy eating. Mervyn Barrett, personal development and the art of self-discovery. Be there, I will, by God's grace.
Yeah, you want a phone? Yeah, just give us 5 minutes. We've got someone on the line here. Sorry, Tamara. Greetings. 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 Feel free to phone back. Okay, we did set someone on the line, but they might put up the phone back. Just have to hold on. Alright, what you do?
Because our body is now mature. Okay, but that's not the case. Our body matures, but our emotions don't mature. Generally, what you can find is around 28, you go through a stage for many people of an emotional maturity. Lots of people go through very dramatic changes in their life around 28. It's a time where you say, I'm not going to live my life for anybody else. I'm going to live it by me from now on. Can anybody relate to some of those changes, maybe around 27, 28, 29, somewhere around there? But of course, there was the physical maturity around 21 where you sort of got to the height and the body build that you're going to have for the rest of your life. And around 13 is another major turning point, is where you start becoming aware of your sexual differences. Kind of like a sexual maturity begins at that point. It's like all of a sudden, hey, I'm a guy and you're a girl, and there's these differences. And before that, around 7 years old, in psychology, we observe a real important turning point with the child development. Is where a child starts turning away from the parents and socialize and becomes more a social being, relating to itself, relating to others. And of course, in the first 7 years, they say that's when we have our most formative time. That's when we got all our programs at that time, where we learn about ourselves. And the way I see it is in that first 7 years is where we get a picture of ourselves as far as how much we deserve. Okay, the worthiness. The way your parents treat you at that time and what you see, the way they treat you, teaches you about what you're worthy of. This is why this healing inner child technique is so important, that we connect with that child, the feelings of that child, the pictures that we have of ourselves and the world at that time, and heal that, and create positive pictures. So, in a sense, all these different tanks that I just talked about, they actually develop as we mature. The first tank that we need filled is when we're in the womb and around birth. And that is vitamin G. That's the whole period while we're in the womb. Is our major relationship is a relationship with God, our higher power. And what that means is if you look at really what's going on to the baby in the womb, everything's being done for you. Everything is done for you. Your body is being built. Do you have to do anything? No. You just sit there and watch the whole thing and play with your fingers, whatever, and you look around. It's all this fun thing happens. Okay. Now, this is where we're at that time where we're developing a relationship with God. This is when it's most important for the mother to be happy. Because if the mother is not happy during pregnancy, then the mother is afraid. And basically, there's fear of happiness. If she's upset about what could happen here, what's going to happen here, she's afraid. That fear goes into the child, and the child starts to get the message that it's not safe. And the more the child gets the message that it's not safe, the less vitamin G it's getting. Because the whole sense is that, you come into this world, God protects us, God takes care of us, everything is done for us. And that needs to be our first experience. Then what happens around delivery time is that we give mom drugs, and mom's gone. And how's this going to happen? Okay, it's like, where'd mom?
Greetings.
Yes, greetings.
Greetings, brother Dougie and Tamara.
Yes.
Gabriel, yeah.
Yeah, man. Give thanks, man.
Love.
How's the man?
Yeah, it's all good, I feel strange finding it on my own show still, but anyway. Shut up and go.
I saw the thing set, man.
this must be history still,
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, how are you keeping, man?
Yeah, I'm just getting ready. I'm getting ready for the show on the 6th, so I'm looking forward to that.
All right.
So I'm just doing some extra research to make sure I'm ready for it,
All right. So, what will you be sharing on the 6th? Because I know you're part of the panel. Yeah. So, what will you be talking on the 6th?
Well, I'm going to be talking about cryptology, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the science of the hidden, the science of the hidden, the unseen that causes everything to happen.
Okay, then.
Yeah, so that's what I'll be talking about, the unseen forces.
Unseen forces, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
that behind what people see. There's an energy that causes it to happen.
All right.
Then. So.
All right, then. So,
I'm just going a bit deeper. Because I've been touching on etymology as well.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be going deeper than etymology now. It's time to go deeper than etymology.
Okay.
Excuse me, sorry, but what is etymology? Because I'm sure a lot of people out there don't know what you're talking about when you say that. I mean, I don't either, to be honest with you.
Etymology, they say, is the history of where the word comes from.
Right.
But that's not actually true. Etymology means the true word. It means the true word.
Right.
Not the history of the word. It means the truth. What is the truth? So it means that everything else is a lie.
Oh, it's DJ Jammers. I just... the Oscar-winning actor. My goodness. Well, not Oscar, but the Kinetic winning actor. Yes, brother. Yes.
Yeah, respect. I hope it's an actor. I think I might need something else to work out. Is that really me? Is that the
Yeah.
So, coming back to the subject matter, right?
Yes.
So, you'll be touching etymology.
Etymology, which is
root of
the true word, what the word really means, not the version that we've been given to use,
See.
but the true meaning of the word that they use in the science, in the law, in astrology, in the mathematics. It's what the word really means, the scientific use of the word,
Right.
But deeper than that is the unseen force, why these words have been created in the first place. Because people now recognize etymology, they can go on Google and see what the word really means, But deeper than that, you have to have the why was this all done, and who is the force that's created it, and what is the purpose, So that's what cryptology is, the science of the unseen.
So, when we talk about the unseen, just break down what you mean by unseen, because people listening right now, they might be a bit, might not be clear when you talk about unseen. So, Coming unseen is that in my mind now people might say that unseen is that there's something that you can't see it, and what do you mean by unseen? Just gives a little clarity on there now.
Right. Well, everybody knows what a word is. Yeah.
Okay then.
But people can't see um, why the word was created. You know what the science is in behind the creation of it.
Mm-hmm.
What the reason is why we've been given these words to use.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the effect that the word has on you when you look at this word. What is the effect? Why is there an effect on it? And who's using the word to put the effect on you?
Okay then.
None of that you can see. You can only see the word dog, but you can't see why is it that these marks equal that picture that you've got of a dog,
Mm-hmm.
So there's an unseen hand in behind everything,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a brief. Breakdown of one of the things I'll be talking about on the day.
Okay.
Yeah. So every word is a sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
If someone gives you a sound and you move to the sound that someone gives you, yeah. So if I tell you to sit, yeah.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah. If you tell me to sit, yeah.
And you sit down,
Yeah.
you've created an order
Yeah.
because you respond to what I've told you
Yes.
to do, just like a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, when I say that word and you sit down, you've created an order and you've created me as your master.
Mm-hmm.
And you've sat down away from what you wanted to do because I told you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So you've made a mental contract. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A contract means when you act against what you wanted to do, you're doing what I've told you to do. So you've created a contract now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it as a child now. So now if I tell you to sit down and you don't do it,
Mm-hmm.
the next time I can impose rules and regulations on you.
Right.
And you can get punished now because you didn't do it.
Yeah.
You didn't do what I followed.
Yes.
So just by following that sound that I've given you, you put all of these restrictions on yourself.
Right.
The first step to control is by you following the vibration that somebody else has given you.
Right. So what you're saying really is that it's following the words, the vibration, the words.
Yeah, following the sound, just like
Following
a
the
dog.
sound. Okay then. Okay.
Yeah, you've made me just like in the army, you've made me your authority.
Yeah.
If I give you a sound and you accept the sound without any resistance, you've given me power over you.
Mm-hmm.
Just by following what I've said, just by agreeing with what I've said.
Mm.
You've agreed that I'm the authority over you when it comes to that.
Mm.
And this is the whole essence of why the words are created, is to control orders for you to follow.
Mm-hmm.
You see.
Mm-hmm. Okay then, John. Well, first I want to give thanks to you for on your own show still, because this is really your run is this show, yeah. So because you put on your own show, man, it's good, man. Yeah, because as we said that we really geared up for next week, Sunday.
Yeah.
Really geared up towards that. We have some serious people. You'll be the last speaker who will take the show out.
Yeah.
And so forth. So everybody's looking forward to hear what you got to say.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's something we want to do on a regular basis. Once we got this in place, and yeah, man. So and also give thanks for your contribution on Chinese fundraising event. You've done a fantastic job.
Respect for that,
Yeah, man, fantastic. I know you're a man, you don't stop move because you're up and down the place, 'cause I know you're there on movements. That's the reason why you're not here today, because you're there on movements,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I got critters. I minded from critters as well because he thought I was going to be down there at Bless. So he was saying, well, I'm money because
See, you want
he
money.
got, he got half of the money that was made on the show because he get traumatized, you know,
See, yeah, get traumatized.
by the hostile crowd, you know.
But the funny thing is that there might be a possibility if we could get at least 2 minutes of well critters, because people still ask for critters to be at the vet on the 6th.
Well, the problem is, you see, him saying that you never paid him last time. So there's a money contract money issue. You have to sort out with critters to get him to calm down, you know.
So I never
He
paid
said
him
he could
last time.
breach a contract, you know, and he never got the dressing room or the brandy. That he wanted 5 bottles of brandy and there was only 4, you know.
All right, we might have to leave critters over because I might give too much. All right,
I'll talk to him
Yeah.
still, you know.
Well, hold on. Tamara, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah,
Yes,
brother
yes, sir.
Jammers.
Yes, fella.
As you were saying earlier on about giving your power away when you do as you're told. Isn't that
Yes.
what you said? Now,
Yeah.
what about the situation where I don't know nothing about the business or very little about the business, and so I listen to someone, and because they've got experience, of the business, they've been at it for how many years, decades or whatever, and I follow their guidelines or their instructions, so to speak. I mean, to say, is that really giving my power away when actually I'm just hoping to learn something from about where I'm going? It's like someone who is lost and you trust someone to guide you by giving you the right directions to your destinations. I mean, so is that also giving your power away? Or,
Yeah, but
trusting
as long
someone?
as what you have to do, because of course sometimes we're in situations where we don't know.
Mm,
Yeah, you have to question. You have to always, just like a child will always question. You
yes.
know, even if you don't want to directly question the person themselves because you might think they might find it insulting. Find someone else to ask a question about, what you've been told by this person.
Yes, I do, because after
Because,
I've been
because what
told,
it is, life is a journey of expansion. Like, you always have to expand your knowledge because there might be a time where that person's not around to help you anymore.
in
You
other
know,
words, get a second opinion after you've been
that's right.
told.
Yeah,
Right.
but also what it is, you see, you sparked up curiosity by even contacting that person. You know, if it was your childlike nature would never stop questioning that person and what he's doing and this and that. So you want to find out exactly what he's doing, his skill. You see,
Right, right,
but we've
right.
been trained to shut down that side of us. To
Ah,
when we see somebody who we think is got above us,
yes.
we've been trained to shut down that question inside. But if it was a child, you wouldn't stop asking that person questions till you've got the skill that person's got.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for that, brother.
Respect,
In every aspect.
Okay
You
then.
know?
So James, big up your status every single time, yeah?
Yeah, respect every time, yeah?
Yeah, man, love, man. Every time, fam.
Okay,
Every
respect,
time.
okay,
Every time.
respect.
That was the Jam Master, man.
And there's this whole process of birthing. There's no way a baby can do it itself. It's the contractions that do it. The contractions move you out. Okay? And some of us in birth, we're feeling, oh, I've got to do it myself. So one of the things you can do when you're birthing is you can say to the baby, it's okay. Everything's happening the way it's supposed to be happening. You don't have to do anything. Just relax. It's going to happen. You've got to reassure the mother, which is the labor coach. You're supposed to be, it's okay, we're halfway through the contraction. We're almost through. And then the delivery coming out. Much of our relationship with God is around. You can see sort of the elements of your relationship with God when you go into studying your birth, which is not the point of this talk, but there's many books about that, The Secret Life of the Unborn Child. There's a whole different school of thought, which is about rebirthing, which helps people go into their early feelings of birth and seeing how that affects their life. To me, it all reflects how much vitamin G you have or what deficiencies you have. And regardless of what your birth is, if it was more of a traumatic birth, that's a sign that in your life you have to work harder to develop vitamin G. Some people with very peaceful births, easy delivers, they always know God's there. They know the universe works. They know their life's going to turn out okay. Others, they don't. And that means you need to work on vitamin G. Okay, that's the first relationship. If you look at children, why are they so incredibly beautiful? Because they're so connected to their source. They're so spiritual. They've got a glitter in their eye. They don't know anything about religion or philosophy or any of that, but they are religion and philosophy. They are spirituality. They're radiating it. They're right there connected to the source. And what keeps them from getting as much support as they need from their support is fear. You know, when there's fear and danger around a child or unhappiness in the mother, that tends to weaken that relationship. But, you know, mothers, you can't be happy all the time. You can't be real guilty about this thing. You just do your best. If you're in a relationship, men, this is just like when a woman's pregnant, you make sure you do everything you possibly can to make her happy. Even say, look, honey, we'll change the rules during pregnancy. That's what I do with my wife. I said, I'll wash all the dishes while you're pregnant, but then after that, we go back to me not washing dishes. She said, fine. But it was just, what could I do to make her life more comfortable? I kind of disapprove of the women who go work real hard during their pregnancies. You know, everybody's got their own personal journeys in this world, but if you're going to work hard, at least make sure you enjoy your work. Don't grind. Because if you grind, you teach this child that life is a struggle. You have to do it by yourself when you don't have to do it by yourself. There's plenty of support out there. Okay, that's vitamin G. Now, from day 1 to 7 years old, that's a time when now you're working on filling up your tank, along with keeping your tank vitamin G open and filling it up. You're always working on your relationship with God. But now the next primary relationship a child has is between child and parent. Especially tends to be with the mother, but very quickly it's the father. There's various theories about this, but little children generally will say Dada before Mama. And so women don't take that personally. That's, you know, the case. And I remember my daughter said Dada. I mean, it was one of those happiest highlights of my life. She woke me up in the middle of the night and she's looking at me. She goes, Dada, Dada. I mean, just like I still see her eyes and just the joy in my heart. You know, she's relating to her parent, this parent who is happy with her. See, every little step, I did a good job. See, the parent looking at that, making that child feel happy. It's like my daughter, see what I did, Daddy? I did a good job. It's like, yes, you did a good job. You are so sweet. You are so loving. You are so good. You know, was I good? I didn't make any noise at the table during dinner in the restaurant? Yes, you have such good table manners. You were so good. Over and over, thousands and thousands of times, you communicate the message to this child that they are good, that they are worthy, that it's okay to make mistakes. Whenever Lauren makes mistakes, I say, hey, everybody makes mistakes. Daddy makes mistakes. It's okay. And you always deserve to be forgiven for making mistakes. So, but what happened is sometimes, and you don't have to be perfect. That's another one she knows. I remember one time she was all really upset and fussy, and I was sort of reaching my limit. She looks at me and goes, Daddy, I'm just a little girl. You're the daddy. You're supposed to know how to handle me. And I tell you, at that moment, it's like God's power came in and I could handle her, you know? But, you know, you watch how many times when parents get frustrated with their kids, they look at their kids like, you should be better. You should do this, you know? The parent is the one who should have it handled, not the child. The child needs the parent's strength at that time. And sometimes she's got all this stuff down, and she'll do something wrong. She says, so I made a mistake, Daddy, right? This is a mistake. And I went, yeah, and mistakes are okay, right? I go, yeah, so I'm not in trouble. That's right, you made a mistake, so it's okay. Right, it's a mistake. And at other times, I'll make a mistake. I'm always real important to tell her when I make mistakes. Daddy made a mistake, see? And what she does is she goes, yes, Daddy, you made a mistake. You made that mistake, Daddy. You made that mistake. I go, you're right, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. It's amazing how, for me as a loving father, it's so easy for me to admit my mistakes. My wife does it, watch out. Okay? But when my daughter does it, I know I'm giving this great gift. Because what happens to us as children is when our parents make any mistakes and they don't cop to it, then the child always feels like it's their mistake. They must have done something wrong. It's like my daughter fell off a chair the other day, and I was watching. And I thought she was going to be okay. I thought it wasn't going to happen. And she fell backwards on a rocking chair because she was sitting backwards in the chair, which generally a mother would never let happen. But here I am, this Martian father, thinking, hey, you know, she's getting off on it. And there's a risk there. It's like trust, you know, a little boy who goes, hey, Dad's really trusting me here, you know. But it was a little girl, and when she fell over backwards, and I was just about to stop her because there was a glass table. But all of a sudden, she turned the chair around, so all she would fall backwards on, which is a wooden floor, which isn't that hard when you bang your head. I mean, they're always falling down and stuff. So she's doing this thing, so, especially around me because I trust them, okay? So she falls backwards, and then she hurts, and she cries, and I hold her. And then she gets mad at me, and she says, no. And she goes into her room, and she's really upset. And I basically said, I actually figured out quite quickly what she was upset about. Is here she was, this little girl, trusting her daddy who wouldn't let her do anything that she would be hurt by. You know, and now she's hurting, and she doesn't know whether it's daddy's fault or her fault. Ultimately, she's going to end up feeling bad, and she's not okay. unless she gets angry about it. She says, I'm angry. And I said, I understand you're angry. Tell me you're angry. Yes, I'm angry. I said, well, you're right. It was my mistake. I made a mistake. I didn't realize you were going to fall, but I should have told you not to do that because I'm a daddy and I should know those things. And I made a mistake. She went, yes, you made a mistake and I'm angry. I went, that's right, and I deserve to be forgiven. She goes, but I'm not ready to forgive you. and walks off. And I said, I understand you're angry, and she says, yes, and I'm sad. I'm sad that you weren't there for me, that you didn't protect me. And I say, she's learned that her feelings are okay, and she's learning about her feelings. And then she came out, and she was so loving. She was, Daddy, I forgive you. I love you. And then the trust was back again. So it was like, and I made sure, I said, I made a mistake. I didn't mean for that to happen, but if I had been clearer, I would have protected you, and I didn't do it. Next time I will protect you from that. And she was like, okay with that. It was just, what a dialogue. I had nothing like that when I was growing up, It's just like kids are upset. You let them go to their room until they feel better, and then they come out, and that was it. But she gets to know what she's upset about by talking about it and having parents that help her to make sense of it. So that's child to parent. That's getting doses of vitamin P. If the first 7 years tend to be a lot about developing our self-worth. What do we deserve? I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be forgiven. I deserve to be supported. I deserve to be appreciated. All these sense of what I deserve tends to develop around that time, vitamin P. Okay, and that's these needs that we need to fill up these tanks. All the way through our life, we need to keep getting that. But if we were deficient in it in childhood, that means as adults we have to work harder to get that. But we can. It's never too late to have a perfect childhood. It's a real important thing. I saw it on a billboard in L.A. It's never too late to have the perfect childhood, and you can. You can create it. See, whatever you didn't get, you can create in your life now, which is getting that kind of support. People who give you that support. Seminars can do it. Therapists can do it. Your parents can do it if they've healed. Or you create surrogate parents, other people that you greatly respect who love you, and you nurture that relationship. Mentors, teachers, experts, people who are there for you to help you develop. Okay, number 3, and this is after 7 years old, a new tank becomes very important, and that's vitamin F. This is when we start relating more with the family members. This is when peer relationships are much more important, family and friends. Now, this doesn't mean that relationships with friends and family and brothers and sisters isn't important in the first 7 years. It's just not the major form of development at that time. The major place where we get traumatized or healed is from our parents. After those kids are 7 years old, parents, you can't do anything more than fill up one of those tanks. Okay? The other tank is up to them. And it's up to you to create an environment where they can get it. But you can't do it. You can't just cloister your child and keep them away from other kids and try to keep them in a pure environment. They got to be around all kinds of kids or their family, especially people who have same values. That's what you want to create. Family and friends. If they don't have family, and especially create friends where the children play together and so forth. And this is the time where a lot of our traumas come up around family, is around the age of 7 to 13. This is the time when we need family and friends the most. If you don't get a lot of that support, one of the symptoms in your life is you tend to be too serious, you can tend to be inhibited, or you tend to be introverted, or you might become overly extroverted, but you're not real because you don't want to reveal who you truly are. Okay, this is a time, a lot of self-esteem. Self-worth is the first 7 years. Then we see vitamin F, self-esteem, feeling good about yourself. Okay, is another level of feeling good that happens at that time. It's as though the way I learn about myself is to watch my brothers. And I go, well, they're like this, and I'm like that. It's gaining awareness of who we are is what the whole process of maturing is. Maturity is, a certain level of maturity is where you know who you are. Another level of maturity, we'll get to different levels, but we're working towards at least being able to love ourselves. The key point here is, at these earlier stages of development, you do not have the capacity to love yourself. You are dependent on others and their love. You are a victim. Whatever circumstances you're in, you're dependent upon that circumstance to fill up with love. These first 3 tanks, God, parents, and family, they're all based upon the people and the situations you're in. You have no power to love yourself yet. You need these messages. Like my daughter can't really feel I did a good job and believe it unless somebody's in agreement with her and teaches her and lets her know again and again, thousands and thousands of messages that you're okay, you're enough, it's okay to be who you are, it's okay to feel what you feel, it's okay to have your dreams can come true, you are great. I remember once when I shared a dream that I had at the dinner table with my kids, I once said, I realized that my teaching career is going to go on for a while, but I think in my 50s, I'm going to run for president. I'd like to be president of the United States. I think that what this country deserves is a really enlightened, loving leader, and I think it'll be ready by that time. So I told my kids that. What was their reaction? Oh, that's ridiculous. Who are you? Who do you think you are to think you could be president? That's their self-esteem. Who do they think they are to be special, to do something special? And that's how, somebody says, I want to be a seminar leader. Who do you think you are to be a seminar leader? That's the message that come up. Fortunately, I didn't have those messages come up for me because my mother believed in me. Ever since I was a little boy, I would talk and give my own ideas and speak out. My mother used to just listen. She never once corrected me or even acted like she already knew it. It was like, wow, this is great. My little son, he's going to be this great teacher someday. She always believed in me. It's like she saw it was going to happen. And so when I was 18, I could start standing in front of groups and teaching. I mean, I had some kind of confidence. I was also scared to death. I fainted the first talk I gave. I stood in front of an audience. I stood up, and I went unconscious. I looked like I was dead. It freaked everybody out. It freaked them out completely. But that's how much fear I had. I mean, it's a scary thing to put myself out like that. But what gave me the courage to keep doing it and going at it again and again? Somewhere inside, I felt that support from my mother who believed in me, who never to me, it was a real important thing that she didn't ever improve on it, because then I would feel like I was, not good enough. It was always like just enough coming out. She'd listen to me talk. She'd go, what was that idea? What's that? Like light coming into me. And boy, that support is with me always. It's like the voice never comes up. Who are you to put your ideas out there? Who are you to come up with a theory like this? Who told you this? Nobody. These are all my ideas in this seminar. Who am I to put it out like that? Just a person who's worked really hard and loves a lot, lives a good life, and these ideas have come through. And I deserve it. That's who I am. But her support gave me that support to feel that. See, sometimes your vitamin P won't come from your real parents. You find it from somewhere else. But some of us are going, gee, my aunt loves me and my mother doesn't. And we push away our aunt's love because our mother doesn't love us, instead of going, gee, my mother doesn't love me, but at least God has given me a surrogate mother through my aunt. We start needing to appreciate where we are getting the love and support instead of pushing it away. This whole theory came out of one of my clients who I spent a year with, helping her heal with their relationship with her parents. They were very dysfunctional. They wouldn't answer her letters. They wouldn't talk to her. It was awful. And yet she felt this tremendous need for their love. And after about a year of therapy, it was Christmas time, and she stopped coming for the holidays, which many people do. And she came back in January, and I said, how you doing? She says, terrible. I had awful holidays. And well, tell me about it. She says, well, after all this work I've done, all these letters I've written, I've been so loving, I called up my mother, and she wouldn't even talk to me. And they didn't even want to see me on Christmas. And guess what happened? The same Christmas Eve, or the day before Christmas, my mother's sister, Aunt Thelma, calls. And she said, how am I doing? What am I doing? They even invited me to their house for Christmas dinner and for celebrating Christmas. And my own mother wouldn't even do it. I said, what did you do? She says, well, I didn't go. I said, oh. And you spent Christmas alone? She went, yeah. And she cried a little bit. And then she said, and then you know what else happened? Christmas morning, my own brother wouldn't let me come by to see my niece. And the same day, and get this, my goddaughter, her mother of my goddaughter, called me up and invited me over to spend Christmas morning with them. And my own brother wouldn't even do it. I said, well, did you go to your goddaughter? She went, no, I celebrated alone. And in my heart, I just had tears come to my eyes of fulfillment of her growth, even though she hadn't fully used it. And I said to her, can you see what's happened here? Is you've done all this work on healing with your brother who's rejected you and your family which has rejected you. And what God's giving you in replacement is your mother's sister who's welcoming you into their family. And here you have this goddaughter and the mother over there inviting you there. The love is there. And she burst into tears and she realized it. It was there. She just had to stop pushing it away because it wasn't coming from where she wanted it. And that was a huge healing for her, healing for me. It was the birth of all these theories. And the other side of it, at the same time, my wife was also going through this, where she was realizing that she was expecting all these things from me, and she had to realize one person couldn't give it to her. She would spend time with her women's support group, and they would be loving and supporting her, and the whole time she'd be saying inside, but why doesn't John do this? But John doesn't listen to me this way. But why can't I get it from John? Why can't he be like this? And she was pushing out their support with this, but I want it from John. And now she goes, I don't need it from John. I need to appreciate whatever John gives me. He's great. He's got his Martian things he does. That's enough. Let me get this Venusian stuff over here, Let me enjoy it all. And so she let go of not only looking to everything from me, but she also let go of the expectation she put on herself that she should be getting everything from me. Because that's what we do. We expect our relationship should give it all to us, otherwise somehow our relationship is inadequate. And that's not true. So let's keep going through this biological evolution here. So now we're up to about age 13, and there's a shift again in our consciousness. What happens is we start pulling away at puberty. Little boys, little girls start pulling away from their parents, starting pulling away from their siblings, and this can be really hard for their siblings.
Okay, then we're expecting a call from Sister Grace very shortly, and she will be talking about the event, what's going to take place on the 6th, because I know she's really looking forward to the event. And herself, as she knows quite a few of the speakers on the panel, so she'll be talking about it. Anybody wants to phone in and talk and phone in, feel free to do that. Just free up yourself every single time. As I said, we do have Tamara inside the house, and we constantly be playing his work, and he will be there doing some spoken words, some poetry, right through, and playing his stuff. So he don't see him of a major feature upon the program.
Ereline.
What I'm gonna play one of my tracks then upon here. Well, I find very powerful.
Depression. I said.
As I said, this is one of my favorite tracks then.
Depression. I said depression. When depression came, I didn't see. The past in my life had caught up with me. The violent abuse I suffered as a child. My uni education that had been denied. So many things I'd suppressed inside. With nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. In a pitch black tunnel with no light in sight. Depression came like a thief in the night. Don't know if it came from the left or the right. But in denial, I put up a fight. With coke and alcohol abuse to make things right. My appetite for business and money was gone. Life became devoid of fun. A good woman was needed, but I couldn't find none. My chances were 1,000,000,000,000. As suicidal thoughts came along, it took much more than just being strong against a thing so forceful, not so easy to overcome. Alcohol and cocaine, they were the enemy and not my friends. But way back then, I didn't comprehend, as they anesthetize the pain, anger and torment. To forget the years of betrayal from family and friends, and women who came for financial gain. Massive burglaries I suffered again and again, feeling like an outcast with 1,000,000 friends. Committing murder appeared to be justified after the way that I'd been crucified, but somehow God kept me off that path, because only God could abate my wrath. Because only God could abate my wrath.
Greetings.
Greetings, how you been?
I'm blessed, thank you.
Okay then. Well, as I said, we do have Sister Grace. This said she's going to phone in and talk about the event, because I know she's looking forward to this event on the 6th of October. And everybody's looking forward to it, you know. So why you're looking forward to this event here? What's so special? Why are you looking forward to this event?
I feel it's important to, when we have such events that are put on, that it's important for people to come out, bring a friend, bring family members, so that they can help in healing, if they know of anyone that has experienced what they've been through or what they're going through, of ways of healing, because it's all part of that healing process that is needed.
Mm.
And by talking and sharing your story, your experience of that healing process. And it's important that if we are going to be able to move on, that we're able to heal ourselves.
Mm. Absolutely. Absolutely right. You know, and you know, as you know, on the flyer, we do have some serious people on there like Kinsu. I
Hmm.
know you know very well. Um, we have Melvin Barrett
Hmm.
talking about the art of personal development.
Hmm.
Vasco, I know you know very well. What can you say about people like Vasco and Lyndon and Kinzo and Melvin Barrett and yeah? What can you say about those individuals there? Vasco, start with
Listen,
Vasco. What can you say about Vasco?
what I have to say goes out to every single one of them. When we have our brothers and sisters who have gone through the processes of learning the trade, understanding the trade, and knowing how they're able to utilize that information to help another person, it's important whilst they're on top of the planet to make full use of them, because as much as they've learned what they've learned, if we don't extract from them ways in which we can help ourselves once they've passed, the only thing that can be extracted for them is that they feed the worms.
Mm,
Why wait till they're down there to say and to turn to a person and say, thank you, you have helped me, and I'm in a better place, or I'm in a better position, or I'm able to help another family member? It's important that we're all here to help and support, to teach each other a better way of life and to improve on what we have.
mm,
So if we're going through life and we're struggling with what is, our different difficulties, it's important that we have that support network that is there to support us on that journey.
mm, mm. Absolutely, absolutely. I don't forget it's only £1 to come in. So people have no excuse.
Mm.
You can't say, boy, we charge 10 pound or whatever, and put you're broke and all them things. Now, you understand, we understand how things are, because sometimes things are be a bit tight and whatever. So, but I mean, we've made it £1. So it's affordable. So that's, well, when the psychology behind that really want to get as many people to come down there, you know.
Or you're cutting out on me.
No, I'm saying that we're only charging £1 to come
Mm-hmm.
in,
Mm-hmm.
only a
Mm.
pound, only £1. So people have no excuse to you know, bring a pound. And also there'd be stores, different kind of stores. There'd be fashion, beauty, jewelry, um, art and design. There'd be books and so many different things. There'd be food and drinks and all that stuff there. You know, will be there. So this is Black Brits and Find Your Voice present the health, wealth, and heritage. And that's Sunday, the 6th of October, and again is at the Redbridge Central Library, which is in Ilford, Clements Road. And the time is from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Admission again is only £1. So really looking forward to seeing you, my sister Grace, and the family coming down there. 'Cause I know you do tremendous work as a entrepreneur. 'Cause let people know about the business you do. Cause you're in the catering business, yeah.
Yeah, I do the catering. I do vegan patties. I do vegan cakes. I do cakes generally with eggs, without eggs, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I do patties. I do a number of different things.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're thinking about our health, we have to be mindful as well that it's what we put in our system
Mm-hmm.
will, it gives us the results. And it's important that, if we are thinking about our health and our mindset, then we need to be giving them or feeding it with the right foods.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not only with the food that we consume, but with the knowledge and information which we have coming in. Also, how we react when certain situations arise
Mm-hmm.
to um, to make sure that we're able to live life the way we should be. And that's having a better understanding of self, a better understanding of how the mind works, and also what we put in our mouth
Mm,
and eat.
mm.
So, um, and then going back, you said it's a pound, and I just think, you know what? For a pound to get all those speakers under one roof, that is less than a portion of chips if you're inclined to eat chips,
Mm.
okay? That is maybe one bar of sweet. But remember, when you eat the chips, it lasts for however many hours the
It's true.
digestive
It's
system
true.
it runs through. The same with the sweet, whatever high you get from that sugar, that's the length of time it lasts. But with the speakers that you have there, the lessons and what they're teaching and sharing with you is a lifetime of knowledge
Mm.
that will change the way your perspective and change your way of thinking and help to change your life. Teach a man, you can give a man a fish for one day and he will eat for one day, but if you teach him how to fish, he will be able to feed and eat for more than one day for the rest of his life. And that's how we've got to see our education and the information in which we're receiving.
Mm. Mm. Okay, well, my sister, it's good to have some wisdom coming from you. You know what I mean? 'Cause I know you is a flow of wisdom still. You know what I mean? Um,
Oh, thank you.
and one of the things we want to do, we definitely want to have you part of the one next event we do. Definitely have you part of the panel as well because
Mhm.
we can't um, stop that kind of talent you have. You know that kind of insight or wisdom, and especially come to your thing about business because I know you've been doing this for many years, and we good. It would be nice for you to share some information with the people. Them, see,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
definitely want you to encourage you to
Mm.
do that. See, and things. So, as
Oh.
the rest of the family, all right though, yeah.
Yeah, everybody's blessed.
Nice man, absolutely. Also, we have Tamara inside the house. Tamara, you want to say hello to my sister,
Yes,
to the
blessed
queen?
love, sister. What's your name,
Oh,
sister?
oh, my name's Amazing Grace.
Amazing Grace. Yes, it's a
Yeah.
graceful experience to hear your voice. And, when you spoke of vegan, ITAL diet, my heart leaps within me because I'm an ITAList myself for
Mm,
decades.
mm.
And basically, where are you based? Do you have a shop or?
I'm based in West London, and one of the reasons why I thought, we need to address when we talk about the types of food which we're consuming, because as you know, it's more and more they're talking on the news more and more about with the cows and people and more vegetables and all the rest of it. But we cannot leave that control in the hands of other people. We have to take control when it comes down to our food, what we're putting into what we're putting into the foods, whether it be cake or patties, whatever, on how we can reduce the sugar. I was watching some program about how this woman made calling no names chocolate that was reduced and it's out on the shelves and all the rest of it. But we have been, or I, we've been creating cakes with a reduced amount of sugar and not even using sugars and fruits and all the rest of it so that it will be sweet, but
Mm,
naturally sweet and not sweetened by
yes, by
sweeteners that is
artificial.
or whatever it is.
Yes.
So it's important that we have the understanding that we have to take control over what goes in our system and not just leave it up to what the government is saying and what other people feel that they can dash in there and give us to consume.
Yes, sister. Which leads me to say a couple more things. Ask a couple more things. One of them is that I was once a member of the Vegan Society. I mean, and it just occurred to me that we need to have our own ITAL society. You know, be,
Yes, yeah.
and would you think about starting up something like that?
Oh.
Well, I mean, I'd like to say I'd like to join you in that process because I'm an italist myself, but as yourself, I'm also running a charity, and as well as making music and writing poetry and writing a
Uh-huh,
book. So,
uh-huh,
I was wondering if there's anybody out there who would like to start an ITIL society. We can have all these, ITIL sort of functions or events, and stuff like
uh-huh,
that. you know, and raising awareness, you know, the health benefits and so on. But also there's another point. As an italist, I've been having a rough time meeting, because I'm looking for a wife, and I'm not ashamed to say so. And the fact of the matter is that, you know, finding a wife who's ital. You know, the ital is very important to me, you know, and I keep thinking about compromising with someone who eats meat and dairy product and fish and all that sort of thing and cheese. You know, and I really, deep down inside, to be honest with you, I'd rather be with someone who is like me, you know, ital wise. You know, I don't expect us to be the same in every way. That's another thing. I mean, what do you suggest I do about it? How can I find myself an ital lady?
Well, you don't know. You can't answer that question.
Okay,
I'm
all
not
right.
too sure
Okay,
where
well,
you can, but I mean, it started. You've put it out there. The main thing is you know what you want.
yes,
Once you keep that in mind and you focus on that, you've put
yeah,
it out there. Someone, once you keep that in mind,
yeah.
someone will be drawn to an ITAL man.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes. Well, I've been putting out there for a long time, actually, but
Mm,
it's a gradual process with me. Some people it may be quickly. In my case, it's been very slowly. You know, but I'm
mm,
glad because you know I'm not in a rush anymore. But thank you
okay.
very much for what
Oh,
you
it's a
said.
pleasure.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay,
Okay
brother
then.
Dougie.
Give thanks
Hmm.
again, yeah?
Okay. All right. Bless.
Blessing love. Very
All right.
powerful contribution by our beautiful queen.
Thank you.
Amazing grace. Okay. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna bring this segment to a close because I know that Tamara is going to close with a poem very shortly. I'm gonna play a little clip of this and then see what I'm doing here. And then alright.
Partner can't hear us getting things off our chest because they're going through so much. And that's what I had to do is go take my shower and get in my cave and figure out, now look, she has a right to say she can't hear this because she couldn't hear this. And then my Martian, well, she should have been able to hear it. But I'm in pain right now and she should be able to hear it and I do this for her. And I take a deep breath. It's like right now, just as you can't really be there for her, she can't really be there for you because you're both upset. And that's the being grown up, is to realize you don't expect your partner to be this perfect partner when they're upset.
Yes,
When their life is going through a lot of
that's
stress.
the powerful man
I look at it two
John
love tanks.
Gray. You know what I mean? I encourage people to go online and listen to him because he's very powerful.
Right things.
Very,
Doing
very
the right
powerful. We
things.
come to
She's open
relationships,
to learning the right
you
things.
know,
She's there to
I
support
definitely
you.
rate him
But when her love
all
tank
the
is low
time,
for whatever reasons,
you
and
know.
I'll go into those reasons a little later.
But just a little bit about the committee and who's involved and etc.
Well, the committee is made up of a group of people from different organisations. So we're all part of different organisations, but we come together to facilitate the march.
Okay.
So because a lot of people don't realise that it takes a lot to put a march of this magnitude
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
and it takes money as well.
Yeah.
And it takes quite a bit of money. Just to congregate at Windrush Square, we have to pay for that. To congregate at Parliament Square, we have to pay for that.
So you just have to pay to be at that.
Yeah. You also have to pay
Mhm.
to speak, to make nice.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. Then we have to get
Well, earlier this month, the Caribbean nations approved a plan to seek reparations from the former slaving nations, including Britain, for the victims of slavery, slave trading, genocide, and racial apartheid. And as a first step, they've engaged the British firm of solicitors who won £20 million compensation for the Kenyan victims of torture by the British during the Mau Mau rebellion in the 1950s. Should we pay reparations for slavery, for the evil of slavery? Esther. Morning, Esther. Well, let me ask you first, because what's really fascinating about this, and what a lot of people have not really focused on, are the ongoing effects. I mean, there is something that you've spoken about before, intergenerational transmission of trauma. Tell me about that.
Yes, well, basically, slavery and genocide has impacted not only the historical populations that were kidnapped from Africa, but also those of us who are the descendants of the enslaved today. And it's not only about trauma and multi-generational oppression. The whole discussion around wealth There has been unjust enrichment to Britain, and there's also been unjust impoverishment, which has been passed on throughout the generations. So part of the legacy is this huge inequality that we see today between the descendants of the enslavers and the descendants of the enslaved.
And what about and psychological scars which have had societal effects, ongoing economic effects, to which you've already said? What are the psychological scars?
Well, part of that
intergenerationally.
Intergenerationally, it's not knowing who we are. It's a lack of connection, it's a lack of identity, a lack of nationhood, which is what makes us human beings, essentially. It's not being rooted, it's being considered minority populations when we come from global majorities. And it's about having second-class status and citizenship wherever we have been located as a result of this dispersal and depopulation that happened originally in Africa.
And there is a phenomenon as well that you believe really does exist, which is post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Yes, well, it's something that I've not coined, but many of our social theorists and psychologists and psychiatrists have been looking at some of the negative legacies that we have internalized, the internalization of racism, self-hate, anti-African sentiments and prejudice and discrimination, a loathing of ourselves, vacant esteem.
Self-loathing.
Self-loathing. Self-loathing in terms of not being proud of who we are, not being proud of our heritage, not being proud of our African ancestry, changing our looks to kind of emulate Caucasian beauty ideals. These are some of the real legacies today in terms of the psychology. We also have to look at the rates of mental health illness, and this has also been linked to that.
All roots back to slavery.
All roots back to that.
Can I ask you as well, Fern, as you're there, I mean, you don't know each other, but it's wonderful you're both on the programme today, how it has affected, I mean, how has it affected you, Fern, slavery, you now, a woman?
The absence of light. The Absence of Light by Tamara Gabriel. Now, I'll just let you know that the absence of light is, if you don't know what light is love, honesty, joy, beauty, patience, understanding, charity, These things are light, not judging others. And what is darkness? Darkness is depression, violence, dishonesty, immorality, and so on. And so, therefore, we have the song, The Absence of Light. And it comes from the fact that I lived in the absence of light for years through drug and alcohol addiction. So here we go. The absence of light. As I slipped into the darkness at the dawn, in boxes only, by the riverbank. Yet somehow I never jumped in, although the voice that beckoned me from the water was enchantingly convincing. As trains rolled into the station, my back was glued to the wall, so I wouldn't fall or dive, thus keeping myself alive. I was hanging by a thread instead of a rope. My mortality clung to a glimmer of hope. I wasn't that innocent, having brutalized men and women for pride and money, let down God Almighty, myself, friends and family, and many members of society. Remorse, resentment, regret, guilt, and shame, with feelings and emotions that have no name, that which I could never, ever explain. Accepting life on life's terms gave me the balance and gave me the peace I needed for the power of love to be released, as self-centeredness gradually became deceased. Cleansed with confession and forgiveness, I was no more a prisoner of the past. Now became the only place to be, and with the future always looking bright, now I know the darkness is always the absence of light. I repeat, now I know the darkness is always the absence of light.
Okay, so want to give thanks and praise. As I said, our roads lead to Red Bridge Library on the 6th. And also this Saturday coming at the West Indian Culture Center, Turnpike Lane, the corner of Whiteman Road. Time from 11. See, there's a market, African market will be taking place there. We get so much bargains. See, so that's taking place at this Saturday at the West Indian Cultural Center. Grab a bargain, as they say. And also Friday at the that's tomorrow at the Chestnut. Was it recycling? So some things going on, and also while I'm here, just take the liberty of reading at this flyer. A fundraising event was taking place at Sterling Way, raising money for the sickle cell, and that's this Saturday, Saturday 26th. No, sorry, Saturday 26th October. See, 10 p.m. to late, and the music, R&B, soul, reggae, and soca. Tickets are £8. And as I said, Sterling Way, that's in Edmonton. The postcode is N80-2X2. Okay, then. So give thanks, and as I said, log in at the Red Bridge Library in Ilford, and that's on the 6th. That's next week. Okay, give thanks.
Yeah. But what we can do, we possibly can feed people. I think there's at least we can, we may be able to do. So we're trying to fundraise to get funds to pay for all these things.
Okay then. So in terms of the committee, because you said the committee from different organisations, I imagine there's I remember last time when I went to the meeting, I guess someone from Bristol?
Yeah, the co-chair is from Bristol.
Yeah.
And we have somebody outside of London as a co-chair, specifically because there's people outside of London, because our people don't just exist in London.
Yeah.
They exist in Leeds and Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham, Luton, Nottingham, Northamptonshire, Yorkshire, all in places, all people out there. So the sister that's the co-chair, Sister Jendai, I'm from Bristol. She's the co-chair, along by myself, who's the co-chair. Then we have two co-vice chairs. We have Sister Esther O'Shea and Brother Prophet Jabi. And we also have our security, Brother Extra, Brother Obun. And we have our finance officers, which is Brother Shanga and Sister Zebi. And we have our secretary, which is Sister